He's an Indian film director, editor, screenwriter, and producer. He's best known for his film. And one of our last panelists is a very special panelist. We've been trying to get her to Kashish the last several years, and we are really glad that she's finally made it here.
I have come before. Sridhar will vouch for it. I've come before.
Over to you, Meenakshi Shetty.
Good evening. Thank you so much to the Kashish. I've been associated with them from the start, from the first year when I was on the jury, and been moderating Q&A since, and it's a cause close to my heart. So thank you again, Sridhar. Freedom for expression and censorship in Indian cinema. I'd like to keep the discussion a little open before we get too technical about clauses and legalities which we're bound to. But I thought I'd like to keep it a little more open before we get into specific things. And after the discussion, of course, we'll open it for Q&A. I'd like to start with Nandita Das, and she's the only one on the panel, but also all of their works are very distinguished, and there are very special reasons why they're here. Because Nandita Das worked also on Fire, but also directed Firak, which we think is an incredibly... Can you tell us about the circumstances in which you decided to take up Fire? What was going through your mind at the time? What were your family and friends, everyone warning you, telling you? And what's your journey since then?
Well, my mother is here today, so I can't even fit that. But yeah, when Deepa shared the script with me, for me it was a story, it was a subject that I came from a very liberal home. My father is a painter, my mother a writer. We discussed everything, there was space to question. And yet, we did not talk about issues of homosexuality. So when I read the script, I thought, this is interesting. Strange that nobody's done a film on this. So I, to be honest, didn't think that it was going to create problems. What is it going to do to my career? Because there was no career at that time. This was my first film. I didn't even know if there was going to be a second film. Later, people said, what a bold film to start as an actor. And when I did Firak, they said the same thing. What a bold film to direct. But at that time, I didn't know I was going to direct another film. So, you just do it because something speaks to you and you want to be part of it. My mother being a writer, I did give her the script. I remember she had little post-its on some of the pages. And she said, are you going to be comfortable? You know you're going to be asked a lot of questions. And I said, well, I'm sure that the way Deepa is thinking, I will be able to do it. And if there are questions, we'll answer it. I think when you're acting in a project, you're not thinking so much about what's going to happen. And, you're caught in the technicalities of it. My journey as a human being, my understanding of the issue, my own sensitivity that grew over the years was more after the film was released. It was through the travels with the film and interacting with people that my own understanding, I realized, was so limited. I had intellectually understood the issue, but I hadn't emotionally understood it at all. And I'm a totally different person, I think, thanks to Fire. I think this whole notion of the other it's been a thread in my work. And I think I really owe it to Fire, that had I not been part of that process, I don't think I would have engaged in all issues where there is another, and there is a perception, and there is a hushedness about it. We don't talk about it, we don't give it a vocabulary. There's a dialogue, in fact, in Fire, which says there is no word in our language. Agar Hindi mein kaha jaye ki aisa koi, there's no word in our language for Andrea and others that really can explain what we feel for each other. Because I know 20 years ago, people hesitated, even English language journalists were supposed to be well read and all of that, hesitated to say words like lesbian and gay. Today, it's a whole different atmosphere. So, those were, in that sense, very trying time. People would sit next to me in a plane and say that, how could you do that film? Sometimes don't you feel ashamed? And when I turn around and say, no, actually, I'm very proud of it, they don't know what to say, So I've experienced a whole range of reactions, and all those reactions have actually helped me answer them, ask myself those questions, grow with it. So, yeah, I owe it a lot.
Bravo. An undercurrent of homosexuality, but not limited to it. Do you feel as an artist, do you sometimes feel, as an artist, how do you react to homosexual issues? Is it sometimes, oh God, can I for once do something else? you know, I mean, why can't you just be an artist only and without...
I never felt obliged that because I'm gay, I had to make my first film, which, where the protagonist was gay. It was that all my other previous 4 scripts got refused. That this was probably the most possible film to do independently at that point, and that's how we started making My Brother Nikhil. Actually, the film that I'm shooting now, after 14 years, was my first script. So that's what I'm making right now. So I've never felt, pushed into doing or having certain elements in my films. But actually the opposite quite happens, that you are immediately perceived as someone that, on air, because the first film is My Brother Nikhil, you will only come to us with gay films. And also, I get constant emails and messages from writers saying that I have a gay story. That gets tiresome because it's the same as, being a Bengali. We're talking about it. I get messages similar saying that, hi, I'm Bengali, we must work together. And I'm like, delete.
Nice. Yeah. Apurva, who's of course, who has a wonderful body of work. He co-wrote and edited Aligarh, and he also he has a huge body of editing work, including Shahid and City Lights and onwards from Satya, massive body work. To you, may I ask you, what were the circumstances in which you came out? What were the reactions of the family, the community, and how has that impacted your professional career?
I think there's no one coming out that happens. You're constantly coming out at different stages, different communities, going back into closets, pretending you never came out, and coming out to society, to your professional, your co-workers. So there have been different stages. The first time I think I acknowledged it was to a close friend of mine when I was curious to go to a gay party and to see what it was like. He was kind enough to come there with me and whatever, but then he gave me lectures for months on how I should get married and Anyway, and then was my folks, my dad and mom, who are really well-read people, like Nandita was saying about her parents, well-traveled. My mother was a Bharatanatyam dancer. My father has been with an international airline, traveling the world. And I expected them to understand, So initially, they suspected it because they found a letter from someone that I was dating at the time. And they confronted me, my father confronted me, and he lured me into a sense of security and said that, it'll be fine. Don't even cure, whatever it is, we are with you. So I fell for it and I said, yeah, you know what, I'm gay. And really? And so who have you been gay with? So I said, well, some cousins and some friends and whatever, that kind of a thing. And that full drama after that. All hell broke loose. He took away my passport. I was supposed to travel abroad. My mother was the worst affected, who has always been my best friend. She felt very let down. I remember these words. She said it reminded her, it made her feel like how she felt when her father got cancer. And I felt very guilty to have hurt my parents like that, because they're very loving people, and I've never seen them so hurt. For the next 3 years, I had to live my life. Now they knew, and the good part of it was that I suddenly felt very liberated, because the thing that you're most afraid about is people blackmailing you that will tell your parents, and suddenly that fear was not upon me anymore, and I was liberated, and I went abroad. My father gave me my passport very grudgingly, and I went abroad. For 3 years, I didn't talk to my father. When I came back with my partner, it took them a long time to even have dinner together and all of that. But this was in 1999, 98 or 99. And this time around, the relationship that I'm in, I've been with somebody for 9 years now. He's a part of the family. He also flew with an airline. My dad and he really bond. His mom and my mom are both South Indians, so they really bond. We take holidays together. And Aligarh was for me very cathartic. I wanted to put out something that was bring out a character who I felt would be dignified, and I wanted to show my parents, a character who lived with dignity. There was filth around him, but he lived with dignity. And it worked. My parents were moved and it made a very big difference.
Purva, thank you so much. Filmmaker. So, what has been the journey from the beginning to now that made you do this to where you are right now in the movement?
I mean, I come from a very small town near Bangalore, very conservative family, not really educated, not really traveled, and so the contrast of, So I don't think the word gay, homosexuality, none of it really was even in my domain. So there's a lot of anxiety and guilt about feeling that desires one felt when one was growing up, not finding that word, not finding a connection, not finding anybody else who we could talk about. So I'm talking about more of the 1970s and 80s, that when one was growing up in different. So thankfully, when I actually started studying in a hostel where I felt a little more liberated to be who I want to be. But again, nobody spoke. Nobody ever spoke about. We would have sex perhaps, but never talked about it. It's just something done in the dark. Never. So it was simply when I came to Bombay, when I came to IIT, that's when I think I did meet one of my friends who was my classmate who basically started coming out slowly in the 1990. 1989, the Bombay, that was the first magazine. He designed the magazine, and when I looked at the magazine, I said, what is this? How can you have a magazine printed about homosexuality? This is scandalous. But then I also, when I took it back to my room and started reading it, I realized that this actually is what I feel, and what a lot of people around the world are feeling. So I kind of connected my personal to the political in some sense. And for the next issue onwards, I was on board as one of the designers of Bombay. So it was and I went to a lot of gay parties in Bombay and said that I'm straight because I'm really too scared to come out. So, but I was kissing somebody out there in the corner. So it was really kind of difficult to admit to oneself. I was a late bloomer in that sense, and then difficult to admit to oneself and difficult to admit to people around you. But I think being part of Bombay Doors and some of the people whom we kind of met together, what was interesting is we kind of had an alternative family system kind of thing where a lot of us got together, felt extremely comfortable with each other, shared our personal stories. And then when we did Bombay Doors, we kind of worked on Bombay Doors, worked on Humsafar Trust, which is what we founded. It kind of really connected to a larger circle, and then you felt that okay, here is what one wanted to do as a person connected. It's nothing like activism is not something you do. It just happens to you in some sense that you just give a voice to what you feel and it connects to somebody else. My mother asked me, okay, I'm okay that you're gay, I'm okay that you're homosexual, but you don't have to really talk about it. So I said that I need to talk about it because maybe there's somebody in, say, Arunachal Pradesh, somebody in some corner out there who's really lonely. And maybe he or she reads about it in some way, and feels that he or she is not lonely and there's somebody else. So that's the JL basically. And then I was doing a lot of mainstream television, and I just felt what I was doing was interesting. It got me money. It was fabulous, but there was no scope for our own stories. So that's how I started making my own first film, Gulabi Aina, in 2003. And then on, it's been kind of making continuously films on LGBT issues. Not that that's the only thing I want to do. I mean, I want to do all kinds of stories. Yes. But it's just, I just feel that it's important for me to do these films because I felt that these stories need to be told. So sometimes I know that I'm a bit, I would say, very inward looking with the fact that I'm very politically correct about what I say. Sometimes my aesthetics and my cinematic ideas take a backseat, which for me is extremely limiting as an activist, as an artist. But the fact that these films can be utilized as an advocacy tool by people to possibly create change, have dialogues, for me that is more important at this point of time. Perhaps things will change, perhaps I'll make films which I aesthetically believe in, cinematically believe in, not really be kind of very underlining each bold italics kind of thing. So I'm just hoping that the journey happens in some sense. But I still feel it's, though I've been here for the last 20 years, I still feel it's the beginning of the journey.
Can we have another round of applause for his national award for best editing for Praveen Andre? I'd like to ask how all of you look at, well, specifically the law, 377, where it stands now, with the Supreme Court going back to referring to constitution. Because sometimes things are not always logical. For example, when we have, I would imagine, I don't know, you would be much more articulate in this. When we have, for example, unexpected family support and our mums and dads, whoever coming out, it's a very different thing from other than lawyers who are anyway fighting for it. It's at different levels. So where do you see a priority in taking the movement forward and changing the law?
Well, I'm all for it starting at home, you know. I think no matter what laws we change, it's very important for those laws to change, they're archaic. But I think as a society, you know, we need to start becoming more comfortable and understanding. And I think that is something that we should be working on, or working towards. At the time when Professor Siras was harangued for his sexual preference, and when he was thrown out of AMU, was a time when it was legal to be homosexual in the country, you know. But did that make any difference to what led, the circumstances that led to his death? So I think as a society, we need to be comfortable, and for that, we as gay people need to be comfortable with our identity first. And I'm not sure we really are. We're all right as long as we are hiding and doing it, or doing it under identities where we won't get caught out. But I don't think that we have our own identity. So that's something that I'm for.
Can I put the question to each of you?
Well, I think they are not sort of mutually exclusive. I think you need both. Of course, what Apurva said, it has to be at home, and those conversations have to be. But I think law is also important, because when you have something like 377, not just because, of course, it's archaic, the people who actually enforce that law, in England it's not practiced anymore, they have abolished it years ago. But by saying that homosexuality is a criminal offense, in some sense, in the social, in the social consciousness, in the collective consciousness, you are saying that it's criminal. Because we do, as regular people, all of us do think what is legal and illegal. We are so conditioned to thinking. So I think it's not an either or. I think we have to fight to abolish 377, and with this government it looks more difficult, but that's why more the reason. And of course, simultaneously, you know, more people have to talk, more kashishas have to happen, more people have to come out. And I think those who don't come out, I think we all, I'm sure all of you understand it much more, that one has to be also empathetic to that. You know, because sometimes we take our confidence, our liberal homes, all of that for granted. But the society can be really cruel. I mean, as a straight person, the kind of stories I've heard in these 20 years almost makes me guilty. I feel ashamed almost of being part of that community that judges, that, you know, sort of decides what is right and wrong, and what decides what's normal and not, and all of that. So I think these issues have to become more mainstream. Kashish Festival must not only be seen by LGBT community, but by people at large, where they start feeling this is as much my problem. And I think that's a challenge always, because when things are of a smaller community, it's so difficult to find that place within a mainstream system that it's bad enough. But what happens is then you start attracting only people from the community, and then the other, then it's their thing. Us and them starts happening. So it's difficult. A lot of people ask me, why do you have to go for a 377 rally? Why do you have to? Because I get a lot of trolls every time I retweet an article, let's say something about, you know, an LGBT issue. And I know that in 20 years, earlier when somebody would say, are you a lesbian? Why? And I used to almost be defensive and say, no, I'm not. Why can't an actor be straight and still do a lesbian character? Today, if they ask me that question, I'm not defensive at all. I'm like, that's none of your business. I could be not, you know, that's immaterial to my role or my work. But it has taken me also, I mean, all of us have that journey. But most people are not even exposed to these conversations. their conditioning is so deep that to come out of that, more stories have to come out. I mean, it's tragic, right? In 20 years, there was fire, and a really sensitive portrayal is Aligarh. What have we really seen in between in India? There should have been 100 stories at least out of those 1,000 stories that we make every year. In 20 years, there should be 20,000 stories. There should have been at least 20 films. So I think there's a long way to go, but we have to be at it.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with what Nandita's been saying, that yeah, like it's important that legally one is empowered, because when you're legally empowered, it's so much more easier to also ascertain your rights as an individual. And I feel also it's very, very important to start this dialogue at school level, when we're having sex education. Because I remember, like, when my niece was about 12, I started talking to her, confiding in her about, okay, I like this guy, and what do you think? You go and tell my mother, also trying to, because she's growing up, trying to get her to talk to me about her life. And, recently, she's 15, she comes to me with this painting, and which had this man in a cage, rainbow colors, and there was a poem written behind it saying, the gay man wants to be free, and says, my boyfriend wrote this for you. So I thought it was like really sweet to have that, a dialogue, and to be always like, she's like, yesterday she told me, why did you take me for the opening? So I said, I don't know if they'll allow 15-year-olds to come. So I think, yeah, it's very important to start talking to youngsters, to young people, especially in schools, because that's also a space where the sense of, I never, it's slightly digressing for this, but I never really had anything of a come out, because I don't remember ever being closed or ever having to deny my identity. I'm born and brought up in Bhutan, where somehow, it was never an issue. Somehow, I don't know how come, but it was never an issue with my parents. I've never had a dialogue about whether the need of being married or going to a doctor, nothing. So it was kind of,
Very civilized.
Even while working in the industry, I never denied my sexuality. I never went out saying, yeah, but whenever I had to talk about it, I've always spoken about it. And I don't feel actually, as an artist, being ever discriminated being gay. Never, in the industry. People don't want to do our kinds of films because of economic reasons, because of various other films also, independent films don't get support. But what I increasingly have started feeling is because of the law, and this is something that I faced when I made my first film in 2006, I got a Q certificate from the Censor Board, okay. And in 2011, when my IR was released, by then the law had changed again, and it took me like 6 months of fighting with the Censor Board. They wanted to cut out one section of the story. There were 4 stories, out of which the gay story was about 24 minutes. They wanted to edit out 21 minutes of the film. And that was a difficult fight, because by then you're not empowered by law. So it can be used against you. And I feel that is what is really important. Today, even as a filmmaker, when I'm trying to make a film which has elements of homosexuality, you're constantly thinking what all hurdles you might have to, and you are answerable. When you're making a mainstream film, it is a lot of money, and somewhere you're answerable to people who trust in you and investing in, your film. So that becomes very, very difficult as an artist. So as an artist, I feel also it's important that this law goes, because it is constantly, hindrance to everything.
Can I just add something to it, Meenakshi? I was just reminded of this Hijra Habba that I had gone in Bangalore. And the stories I heard of how the police oppression happens, it's also a class thing. I mean, sexual orientation, class, region, there are so many things that intersect. And the horrific stories that these transgenders have to go through from various parts of the country. So I think if we continue to say, okay, even though the law exists, but there are people, after all, we do have the freedom, it's not for everybody. we are still far more privileged. I mean, we may have our own battles and all of that, but there are some people who on a daily basis are criminalized because they come from a certain class, they are harassed and they are picked up, they are abused. So I think that's also something where, if you're talking of dignity, then that dignity also comes with saying that this is not a crime.
I think which we need to get rid of, and but I think also when we're talking about the different barriers which come across, like whether it's the government, but for me I think the censorship really starts from the family, which for me is a big issue. We talk about the colonial law, we talk about how it has influenced us and how it's put this, but I really think, where did this come from? Why our parents are thinking? Why our mothers and fathers are saying that don't dress like this, dress like this? That you should not be with a man, you should be not be, but you know what I'm saying is?
Yeah.
So I just feel that censorship has somehow penetrated so much into a family structure, and that's where the child is growing up. And that's where he or she imbibes that fear and that anxiety that what I'm doing is wrong. And only after that he or she steps out into college, which again you have a lot of discrimination out there, bullying, homophobia, and then out there in the world. So I don't know, right now I just feel, how do we change the mindset of the parents? You know, where did it come from? Is it patriarchy? I mean, I'm still grappling with this, so I have no answers on that front, you know. But something we need to think about, that I don't think we just should put everything into this whole colonial idea that this is where, you know, let's not push the blame out. Let's take the blame and say, how do we, within our cultures, where did we lose that particular idea where it was kind of more accepting? Where did we go wrong? That is one. The second thing that I want to also mention, like what Nandita said, there has been a lot of films made in between Fire and Aligarh, which I just want to bring on track. But I'm just feeling that they're not...
like, you know, something that really came in the public domain, features of them.
The point is also, I think, they somehow have not found the kind of distribution or the... Yes. So, kind of distribution or the visibility or the star power or the marketing muscle, you know, for it to be there. And that's a bit of a sad part, because I think, as we talked about, it is definitely a chicken and egg story. You have the censor board, and you have the distribution angle, you have the star power, and you have content. So it keeps going round and round. But I think over the last few years, I've seen change happen. I think that there have been more films out there which does talk openly about homosexuality. Not as a protagonist as much as, like, I mean, Aligarh was a very few example of it being the person out there. But I think we do have a lot of films which do kind of have characters who are much more sensitive. Like, I mean, if you take Angry Indian Goddesses, there's a wonderful story of a lesbian couple. So many other examples. Sorry? Kapoor and Sons.
And also Parched, there was, yeah.
So, but I think I also want to just bring it up that, like, there are a lot of short films and documentaries which I rest a lot of hope on, which we keep bringing to Kashish, you know, to show us that these films are never get seen or released. And we get every year almost like 80 Indian films, 80 Indian films. Not the best, not of the quality we're talking about. So this year, I think we got around 75 Indian films, and we actually are programming only 27. So that speaks as a kind of a very tragic, that, like, it's not up to the mark in terms of quality, and Kashish has now raised the benchmark for quality in many sense. But I think they are being made. It's just that they have something in them, if they receive the financial support or the technical support, and this removal of this whole censorship, and there's more freedom, I'm sure, like, a lot more films can happen. Perhaps that's what I think.
The two men, and that's horrid. It was horrid, yeah. But we got away with the cinemas and the TV.
I just want to
Which includes such a clause.
I mean, this doesn't sound like rating, it still sounds like censorship. Sorry, I
Well,
didn't even understand that. I mean, it's because it's so arbitrary. What is decent for you may be indecent for me, what is moral for me may be immoral for you.
Exactly.
It's so arbitrary and random. I mean, in Firak, I had to actually meet the censor board because they wanted to throw out many things. And in fact, they said, "Aapne beginning mein wo disclaimer nahi diya." You know, you have to write that all these incidents are sort of not, there's no resemblance to any character or any events. And my disclaimer was, it's a work of fiction based on 1,000 true stories.
Yes.
So one of the censor board people said that, oh, so there are 1,000 stories in this. So I said, no, when you say Earth based on 1,000 true stories, it's a metaphoric word. So you can imagine the kind of people that are in the censor board, that are sitting on judgment on your film. So I think I am completely against censorship, not like a soft censorship, not the censorship that we are very great, amazing, intelligent, we know what is right, so we will censor, not one of those. There will be horrible things that all five of us may completely dislike. We will choose not to see, we'll tell our friends, we'll write about it, we'll make a film about it, but we will not censor it. So I think we have to be almost a little bit fanatic about the fact that any kind of censorship is detrimental to the growth of any society. And also it's just ridiculous because when you have internet, you have access in a way to a lot of things. So what are you really censoring? Which means you are in a way as a society saying it's okay to be hypocritical. You know, you are basically not encouraging honesty. You are not working on making a society more discerning, more thoughtful, do more critical appraisals, discuss films in a better way so that people know maybe what is good, bad, and we hone that aspect of understanding films. But by censoring, you are actually undermining people, you are deciding for them, and that too 5 random people are going to sit on judgment and tell a country of 2 billion what is right and what is wrong, what is moral, what is immoral, what is, interest in national interest or not. So I think it's completely ridiculous, and somehow as a society we haven't taken it up as an issue. Because wrong kind of dialogues have, I think, been in the public space. Oh, you're talking about freedom of expression. Where do you draw the line of freedom of expression? What is the responsibility? There are 100 things that are there in today's mainstream cinema with U certificate, which are extremely regressive, which are extremely looking down upon a certain community or discriminating or just defy your intelligence, which might be completely worth censoring as far as I'm concerned. But I would still fight for their existence or the fact that they shouldn't be censored. So I think we need more public discussion, tool to be used, that it's a dangerous tool, that it can tomorrow be used for all of us, against all of us.
I just wanted to add
Yes,
to this. It's like recently I had used this film called Jananga, which the primary protagonists were like 13-year-old and 14-year-old boys. Dalit story, a very real story which, children, everyone, is a huge section of our society is constantly experiencing. The film was given a certificate. Okay, again, the same thing, even the trailer, so nobody could know the film was getting released. What was really funny is one of the reasons there was this love-making sequence, again shot not in the usual, in a way which could, anyway, that's, titillate. And the reason they asked us to delete it was it is derogatory towards women, love-making sequence, And they're like, you can have the close-ups, but not the long shot. Okay, so, and then when we reapplied, and just see the kind of harm they do to a film, when we reapplied for re-censorship for TV, they just told us to cut 3 more seconds of the film. So, if you had cut those 3 seconds of the film, so it's just, it doesn't mean any. Another thing I want to tell is like when we were working on a film together in IIM, there was a sequence, not even love-making sequence, where the actor who plays her husband is just touching her, and the censor board said, you have 2 shots like this. 1 shot is enough to convey what you want.
Maybe he wanted a bit of the other.
Prepared that, the censor board is going to ask us to cut, so if they do, we'll negotiate, we'll cut this. They actually kept a little extra thinking they are going to cut it.
Typical, yeah.
It did. Not only that, when we had cultural policing, after 13 days of it being shown, right-wing people, when they actually stopped the film, stopped people from going, all of that, it was given back to the censor board, and again they gave it back without a single cut.
Bravo, bravo,
So,
bravo. Fabulous.
Despite personally having this wonderful experience with Fire, or despite having with Firak, where they only cut one thing, I fought with them for 7 hours.
What was the scene?
Something, they first wanted all these galis, Ma Behan galis, right in the beginning, which Nawaz says when he comes into a burnt house, and he's not saying it to someone. It's like, oh my God, when you say that, it's more an exclamation, where you say the B word. And I said, no, I'm not going to cut it because beep, beep at that time is going to take you away from that scene. So finally what was cut is a small child who is just sort of crushing a little ant and saying Sala Hindu hai. Because that is what he's seen around. He's seen his parents being butchered and all of that. And that's his catharsis, that's his victory over a little ant and saying that. And I said, and they said, "Nahi, how can you say that? It's against the Hindu community. You as a director are saying that." I said, "No, that child is saying because of everything that he has seen. It's not the director, it's not the stories endorsing it or anything. I mean, this is common sense." But I had to give something to them. So in the film, I kept it Sale ko maar diya. Instead of Sala Hindu hai, we changed that one. But my point is, even though I've had good experiences from the censor board, I still think it's awful. Because even in water, when we shaved our head and all of that, and we were attacked during the shoot, it brings us back to self-censorship and moral police.
Yes.
These people who are just random people who have decided to take it upon themselves to censor it. That threat, I think, has increased much more. So we need to,
Very quickly,
And then after
sorry.
this, we'll throw it to the
Yeah, it's very true. They look at the potential reach of the film. Documentary है, ज़्यादा दूर नहीं जाएगी. Actor ये है, ऐसे actor है, अरे यहाँ इसको कुछ करना पड़ेगा. You know what I mean? गाने हैं फिल्म में, नहीं, तो allowed ही नहीं है. But I also think the terms we use in order to describe ourselves, our identity, gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, queer. I have a big problem.
Let's come to that later.
Queer. Okay. Now these, I do understand it's a word that's been reclaimed by the West, where it was used in order to, harass people, gay people, the word queer. My problem is bigger than that. My problem is that these words are not our identity. These words are not, they were reclaimed.
By cutting the movie and और creativity कहीं ना कहीं lack हो जाती है, तो आप क्या feel करते हो उस time पे?
बहुत गुस्सा आता है. So yeah, it's it's very frustrating. It makes you very angry because, especially because of the justification, the reasons given. I remember when, again going back to IIM, at one point I was told that two men looking at each other romantically not good for children to see. And and also being gay and standing there and listening to this makes it even so much more difficult because they're looking down upon you, your identity, humiliating you in a way. And you have to stand there and listen to that shit because ultimately you have to, navigate them and get it out, So I feel, yes, not only as an artist, but also as a human being, you are constantly, it's not something that, it's something I don't enjoy. Like very often, like these days when I make my films, I tell my business partner that, when we have the censor screening, you go because, it's, as a creator, when you see, you love what you do. Especially when you're an independent filmmaker, you're not commissioned by anybody. It's not a project you're making. You're making something that you believe in, that you love. And then to see it being butchered, and I have unfortunately experienced that more than once. So it hurts. And that's why you feel like, I fought for 6 months for IIM to get the certificate. So you fight it out and try and figure out how you, and actually going to your question earlier is when we were fighting for IIM at one point, because by then the Delhi High Court had decriminalized, I remember using that for the censor board. When he told me, I said, but what you are saying is illegal because we are decriminalized. And it kind of helped actually, to finally, from 23 minutes, they cut 6 minutes. So that was quite something.
Yeah, I also think, in fact, it is because if they think, how can they cut a word like gay and homosexual? One would really fight for something like that because that.
Imagine I would fight for nodding off in court.
Yeah, that too. That is absurd. That's laughable. But this is completely offensive to say that you can cut a word like homosexual, gay. That's a denial of its existence almost. And that's why, again, I know I'm harping on it, but that's why I think legality is also important, because then in their minds, and that's why you said, are people in censor board homophobic? I mean, they are from this world. So they are as much homophobic as the society is. They are no more, they are no less, but that means there are lots of them that are, basically, because our society is homophobic primarily. Coming to your censor question, the lady who is now talking to someone else, I don't know if she's interested in the answer, but gussa aata hai, like Oni said. I think that's a hansi aati hai aur gussa aata hai.
So I just wanted to add quickly one thing. I also I believe that I think we are moving backwards. Just like Nandita said, her first film didn't have any cuts. Similarly,
I wouldn't have been able to. I think Fire would have been difficult today, and Firak also. I don't think I would have made Firak today.
We got a U certificate. I had the word K in it, and still, like, no cuts, 0 cuts, U certificate, which means it could be shown in schools to have, So I feel we are moving backward about a whole lot of things, and that is what is really, really worrisome. And there is now, quickly, sorry, I'm taking too much time. Is another form of censorship which we haven't spoken about is media. Today, be it films like Aligarh or I Am, My Brother Nikhil, which create dialogues, you have homophobia in, people who are heading satellite channels. They will not, I'm sure our films, we don't price it like a dabba. Don't expect that kind of satellite price. But very often, these films do not get shown on satellite despite US certificates, because there is someone sitting out there who decides there is no audience and people should not be watching this. Because there's a larger audience that you can reach out to.
And you weren't able to insist on, one of your film which riots, Nandita Das made one of them, Firak. Big time, big applause for that. Because I think in the end it's
To the final word, but can I just say one thing? Another form of censorship is self-censorship. When you think you already have a perception that we will be censored, and therefore before even somebody attacks you, you want to step back. And that has also begun happening. And that, I think, is very dangerous. We can't allow ourselves to keep shut. चूज करिएगा लेकिन अच्छे से.
We'll take pictures first.
They've taken pictures.
But the group together.
हाँ. We'll just quickly finish this by the time you get. बोलिए.
So firstly, what you want to tell about this?
थोड़ा पास आ जाइए ताकि उनके एंगल ठीक हो.
कशिश फिल्म फेस्टिवल के बारे में पहले आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
हिंदी में है क्या? नहीं, आप जो बोलेंगे उसमें करेंगे ना फिर हिंदी. ये कशिश फिल्म फेस्टिवल एक बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है जहाँ पर LGBT कम्युनिटी की फिल्म यानी लेस्बियन गे फिल्म्स को दिखाते हैं. हमारे समाज में लोग इस चीज़ को अभी भी इतने एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं या इसके बारे में ज़्यादा बात नहीं करते हैं. और ये जबकि पता है कि ये बहुत ही नेचुरल चीज़ है. 10% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज़ गे लेस्बियन. तो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि अलग अलग कहानियाँ हमें दिखाई दें, अलग अलग लोगों की ज़िंदगियाँ हमारे सामने आएँ. तो मैं तो इस फेस्टिवल को पूरे तहे दिल से सपोर्ट करती हूँ. और आप यहाँ देखेंगे कितने सारे LGBT कम्युनिटी के लोग यहाँ पर आए, क्योंकि उनको बाकी मेन स्ट्रीम जगहों में वो जगह ही नहीं मिलती है, उनकी कहानियाँ ही सामने नहीं आती है. फायर एक मैंने फिल्म की थी 20 साल पहले, और अभी अलीगढ़ आई है. बीच में ऐसे आई एम और छोटी छोटी कुछ फिल्में आई हैं. आई थिंक कपूर एंड सन्स में थोड़ी बात थी, बट बहुत कम फिल्में हैं जो इस होमोसेक्सुअलिटी के इशू को सामने लाती हैं.
अच्छा, आज जैसे पैनल डिस्कशन में बात चल रही थी फ्रीडम एक्सप्रेशन एंड सेंसरशिप, तो उस मुताबिक आप एज ए डायरेक्टर अगर कोई फिल्म डायरेक्ट करती हो और आप क्रिएटिविटी उस फिल्म में लाती हो
वो काटा जाता है। हाँ,
काटा जाता है, तो हाउ डू यू फील?
नहीं, आई थिंक सेंसरशिप एक बहुत ही डेंजरस टूल है, क्योंकि जो ये 5-6 लोग डिसाइड करते हैं कि मतलब 2 बिलियन इंडियंस को क्या देखना चाहिए। अब आप सोचिए, बहुत ही आर्बिट्री है। जो चीज़ आपको अच्छी नहीं लगती हो सकता है मुझे लगे, जो मुझे लगती है वो किसी और को न लगे। क्या राइट है क्या रॉन्ग है, हमको लोगों पे विश्वास करना पड़ेगा ताकि हम लोग मिलके सोचें कि क्या सही है क्या नहीं। और वैसे भी आजकल इंटरनेट पे सब कुछ आता है, तो इस तरह की सेंसरशिप करके ये 5 लोग डिसाइड करेंगे कि व्हाट इज़ राइट और रॉन्ग, ये तो बहुत ही गलत चीज़ है। इसीलिए पूरे सेंसरशिप को रीमॉडल करने के लिए श्याम बेनेगल और उनकी पूरी एक टीम को बिठाया भी गया था। एंड आई होप कि हमारे यहाँ भी रेटिंग सिस्टम हो जाए ताकि कोई 5 लोग ऐसे रैंडमली ना डिसाइड करें कि यह सही है गलत। फायर में भी हमें सफ़र करना पड़ा, या वाटर जिस तरह से, ये कई बार सेंसर बोर्ड की गलती नहीं थी। फायर इनफैक्ट वाज नॉट कट एट ऑल, एक भी उसमें वो नहीं था। पर ऐसी कई फिल्में हुई हैं जिसमें बहुत ही आर्बिट्रेरी चीज़ें लोगों ने काट दी गई हैं।
अगर आपके दिमाग में आ रही हो कि ऐसी कोई बॉलीवुड फिल्म है जिसमें ये कट होना चाहिए और नहीं हुआ है,
ऐसी कई फिल्में हैं जो बहुत, मैं नाम मतलब वैसे मैं बहुत कम फिल्में देखती हूँ, लेकिन ऐसी कई फिल्में हैं जो मुझे बहुत ऑफेंसिव लगती है, जिसमें औरतों को बहुत ही गलत तरीके से दिखाया जाता है, या बहुत उस तरह का कोई अजीब सा वायलेंस है, या ऐसे डायलॉग्स हैं जो हमें 20 सदी और पीछे ले जाते हैं। तो वो भी हम नहीं अगर देखना चाहते तो हम नहीं देखते हैं। हम और लोगों को कहते हैं कि भाई ये घटिया फिल्में मत देखो, पर इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि जो चीज़ें मुझे भी पसंद नहीं है कि मैं चाहूँगी कि वो सेंसर हो, मैं वो भी नहीं चाहूँगी। मेरा ये मानना है कि हर तरह की फिल्में आए और हम लोग एज इंडिविजुअल सोचने लगे और समझने लगे कि क्या अच्छा है क्या बुरा है। ये हमें भी कुछ हद तक डिसाइड करने की छूट होनी चाहिए। थैंक यू।
all of you, second camera please. Your last corner. All of you, corner. Center look. All of you. All of you, last camera.